We've got, yeah, maybe 40 to 50. That might be.
40 to 50?
Yeah, yeah. So I got the thumbs up. I think we're ready to get started. So good afternoon, everyone, and again, welcome to our vehicle buying seminar. And my name is Steve Flaggy, and I'm the Mayo Credit Union's Chief Lending Officer. So we're here today to help you navigate a car buying process, maybe give you some confidence in that process. We know that making a car purchase is a major decision, so it's easy to make a costly mistake if you're not well prepared. So hopefully today we can focus on some practical steps that can save you money, maybe avoid some debt traps, and choose a vehicle that fits your life and your budget. Our goal today is really to help you be less overwhelmed and more prepared when you get into that process. We're going to try to break down that process into steps, hopefully give you some tools today to help you with your next vehicle purchase. So you've got my information here on the screen. Any of you on the remote or in person here are welcome to write that down and connect with me anytime. I'm happy to take any individual calls or emails even after the presentation, so I'm here to assist you if that is of help. For those of you remote, and by the way, thank you for those that are remoting in. We appreciate you being part of our presentation today. You'll have the ability to, if you have questions, to type those into the chat room. Our team will let me know what those questions are, and then we'll try to address those if you have questions online. For those of you in person, you're also welcome to interrupt and ask questions as well. So this is an interactive process that we want to do together today. So let's talk a little bit about some of the steps in the vehicle purchase process. So there's actually a few steps to it. You know, you've got to narrow your search. I think at any time in the United States, there are millions of cars available to purchase, both new and used, so it's a big bucket to sift through. You have to research your top choices. If you need financing, there's an element of securing your financing that comes into play. Selecting the best vehicle for you based on what your practical needs are. The verification of the vehicle value. It's important if it's a used vehicle that you understand what you're buying in terms of its history, both what's available online and the actual service history of that vehicle, and then the process of making the purchase. So each step is really designed to help keep you in control and avoid some common mistakes that could lead to regret. So think of this maybe as a checklist to help you stay grounded. So let's start with narrowing the search and finding the right vehicle. It's important, I think, to approach this as much as possible from a factual versus an emotional point of view. Car shopping can pull at your heartstrings, but we want to focus on the facts. Does the vehicle meet your needs? Do you need space? Do you need fuel efficiency? What's your budget? If you've got 2 car seats and a baby, maybe a sporty coupe isn't the right practical vehicle for you, no matter how cool it might look this summer. And then of course it's important to avoid a trap of overspending on a car that maybe you fall in love with, but maybe it doesn't really fit your budget or doesn't suit your life needs. So those are all important factors to think about in terms of narrowing your search. So there are obviously 2 buckets to think of, new vehicles and used, and each of them has pros and cons. So with a new vehicle, of course, you don't have to worry about the vehicle history. You get the benefit of factory warranties. One of the downsides to a new vehicle is, of course, you have driving it off the lot. It's not a new vehicle anymore, so now you have instant depreciation that you have to live with. And if you're going to keep that car for 5 years, well, you really don't care about that, but it's something to be mindful of when you drive that vehicle off the lot. And then sometimes if you need financing, you can get the best interest rates or rebates with a new vehicle as opposed to used. Used vehicles often are less expensive. Somebody else has absorbed that drive-off depreciation, so there's the benefit of benefiting from the depreciation, which ties into it being less expensive. But it also brings a fear of the unknown, the vehicle's past history, or maybe future issues, and we'll talk a little bit about more of that in the future. But those are all things to consider versus, or new versus used. So as we think about narrowing the search, if you need financing, another important thing is to consider estimating what your payments might be and setting up your budget. So the loan payment needs to be something that you are comfortable with. It's important to fight the urge to overspend and have too big a payment at the maximum of what you can afford, and then you find yourself in a tight spot from a budget standpoint. There's a lot of online loan calculators available so that you can determine what that payment might be. We've got one on the Mayo Credit Union website you can use, but there's also a lot of them on iPhones or on the website. So you can put in the variables in terms of the amount of the loan and the term of the loan and the interest rate, and it'll help calculate the payment that and then you can see if that fits into your budget. So researching your top choices, we really encourage you to think about learning everything you can about the vehicle's reliability, its pricing, and special financing offers. Excuse me. There's so much available now online to become well prepared as a buyer and to educate oneself. So it's important to spend that time of doing your homework regarding the vehicle or vehicles you are considering. These are some possible websites that might be helpful to you. There may be others as well. But if you're looking at a used vehicle, carcomplaints.com is a great website to get information on car repair issues. This also can be helpful if you're buying a new vehicle, because you can also possibly find that make and model if it's been in service for a while, to see what that history might be in carcomplaints.com. Car Gurus, Auto Trader, TrueCar.com, all of them have different information available to you, not just because they've got vehicles that they have for sale, but there are tools inside those websites that can give you information as you're trying to research and doing your homework in terms of the vehicles that you're considering. So hopefully some of those websites would be a benefit to you. So next slide here is researching your top choices. Once you've kind of got your short list of what you're interested in, it's good to know what's available in your price range. And we're in such a different world today in terms of really having a national market and information on a national level in terms of make model, so that you can compare. Because if you're going to buy that vehicle locally, it's good to know what the market is with a big data set of a lot of vehicles of that make and model. So obviously your local dealership, if you're going to shop there, they usually have their inventory online. So that's a place you can go to look at makes and models, and their pricing is usually on those websites. And then you can go on to these other websites, cars.com, autotrader.com, Car Gurus, Facebook Marketplace, or a local independent car dealer lot, maybe not a dealership, but just a local mom and pop used car dealership lot. They also have vehicles to purchase and might have a website. So you can use all those tools to look at the make and model that you've researched, to see what's available and see what the price range might be. So. Securing your financing. So an auto An auto is not an inexpensive purchase. Some of you may have cash to buy and not need financing, which is great. Some of you may need financing, and if you do need financing, our recommendation is that you'd also come to the credit union and allow us to get you pre-approved. We have some really fantastic rates right now, as low as the mid to low 4% range on different vehicles, depending on your credit score. So getting pre-approved with Mayo MEFCU, the Mayo Employees Federal Credit Union, is really important before you shop. And why is that? Well, first of all, it gives you confidence to negotiate, with the seller, and it removes the stress of what could be some dealer financing games that get played. It can be kind of a high-pressure situation with the salespeople who work hand-in-hand with their dealer finance people, and so sometimes you might feel pressured. This kind of takes that off the table because you know the credit union has got you pre-approved up to a certain dollar amount. The pre-approval locks in your rate and your payment, and then really allows you to focus on the car that you're trying to buy and not the loan when you're at the dealership, because that can be a complex situation. Just keep in mind, dealer financing can come with hidden fees or higher rates. So again, having the credit union in your corner, I think ensures that you're getting a fair deal. We would encourage you to avoid signing up for a loan just because it's convenient at the dealership. So securing your financing. Dealer financing, if you do finance the vehicle at the dealer, they have wholesale relationships with banks. Sometimes they offer a better rate than you can find on your own, and sometimes with new car financing there might be a special, they're trying to move a certain make and model of new car on their lot. So they might have a special financing of 1.99% or 0% financing for a new vehicle. So those could be very advantageous. So those are things to consider as opposed to taking a loan with a credit union or somewhere else. Typically, terms for financing are available depending if it's a new vehicle or used, from 3 years up to even a 7-year loan. So obviously the longer you finance that loan, the more interest you're going to pay over the term. If it's a 7-year, you're going to pay more interest. But it might be necessary because you need to keep the payment lower to fit into your budget. So there's that cost benefit of thinking about the loan term and what makes the most sense. Another thing to consider is how long do you typically keep a vehicle before you trade? If you're going to be in the mode of trading that vehicle every 3 years, then if you set the loan up on a 7-year amortization, you could get into a place where you're not getting that loan paid down fast enough in order to trade your vehicle. So that's something to consider around how long to finance the vehicle. We would typically recommend that you try to keep that loan term shorter rather than longer, as long as it fits into your budget. What vehicles qualify? What we mean by that is older vehicles that could be 8-9 years old may not qualify for a longer term. So those are all things to keep in mind. And there can be hidden fees by some lenders in terms of a prepayment penalty or application fee. One of the things with doing business with the credit union is you're never going to have to worry about that. So and of course, if you can pay cash and stay debt-free, that's always a wonderful way to go. So selecting the best vehicle for you, this can be the fun part. It can also be stressful too, but it can be fun to test drive a vehicle with a friend or your spouse. And it's okay to tell the salespeople. In fact, we recommend you tell the salespeople you are not ready to pull the trigger today. You're there for a test drive only, because you're still in this gathering information mode. So they'll put pressure on you, and if you can set the expectation that you're not interested in making a purchase yet, that will help take some of that pressure off. But you can always get their business card when you test drive, and then circle back with them if in fact you were impressed with them and the vehicle, and work out a deal when it's appropriate for you on your time frame. Verifying the vehicle value, an important step that's involves your homework, of course. So the vehicle's going to have or the dealer's going to have an asking price, and it's up to you, of course, to do your research and find out if it's fair. And again, we've talked about some of these websites before, where you can look up similar make models with similar mileage and get a sense of if the vehicle that you're looking at in person locally is priced in accordance with what similar make and models are from a national perspective. So there's some other resources besides AutoTrader and Cars.com, CarGurus.com, Black Book, J.D. Power are also valuable resources for establishing value. A lot of times they will ask you to actually get the VIN number. The VIN number is usually on the website where the vehicle is being marketed, whether it's the dealer or somewhere else. But Black Book and J.D. Power usually need that VIN number to be able to provide a market value for you, along with the mileage that the vehicle has. So again, it's important to negotiate with data, because if you've got hard data, you can push back to the salesperson and say, you know, I really found that there's other similar vehicles to this make and model priced at X, and you're asking why. So, you know, overpaying is obviously one of the quickest ways to lose money on a car. So again, do your homework and stand your ground, and not be afraid to walk away. So that's an important negotiating tactic. There's always another vehicle, you know, to take a look at. So let's talk a little bit about the vehicle history. So we're talking about used vehicles here for the most part, and many dealerships will provide a free report for you on that vehicle history. More and more vehicles that are less than 10 years old have a vehicle maintenance history report that's public. Not all of them do, but many do. And so if you ask the dealer for a copy of that, that will give you an idea to see whether that vehicle has been serviced. Has it had its oil changed on a regular basis? Did it have major repairs? Did it have a transmission replaced? Was it in an accident? It'll say if the airbag's been deployed, if it's been in a flood, verifiability with odometer issues. Was it used as a rental vehicle in a fleet situation? So a lot of those information bits are found on the vehicle reports. So if you are able to get that report from the dealership, usually it's either Carfax provides that report or AutoCheck provides that report. In the event that it's not available, you can also pay a fee, go onto the website of Carfax.com or AutoCheck.com and pay a fee to them, and then you can put in the VIN number and you can pull that history yourself if it's not available from the dealer. Or if you're buying the vehicle from a private party, they're probably not going to have those history bits information available. So you still can get at that information by logging onto those sites yourself and paying a fee to get those reports. A very important step. So obviously a car without a history, you have to assume that it's a car that hasn't been serviced, or you'd have to be very skeptical in that situation. So more and more information is available today given these two reports than what used to be available 10, 15 years ago. Some vehicles might have a salvage title. That means it was in a wreck or it was in a flood, and so they might have been refurbished, but the title is going to have a salvage title qualification on it. So you just want to be aware of that. That adds extra risk as a buyer. Usually those vehicles are priced much less expensive because of the salvage title, but there's a trade-off there. You don't know if the repairs on a collision were done properly, if if the chassis was bent and it didn't get fixed right. It can be an option, but it's something we just encourage you to be very careful about. Those are difficult to finance for banks and credit unions, so typically financing is not available from banks and credit unions if it has a salvage title, but it's something you might run across and wanted to make you aware of that. It's always great, too, to have the car inspected if it's a used vehicle by a licensed mechanic, someone that you trust. If, in fact, you are buying a vehicle and having it shipped from another part of the country, let's just say you live in Minnesota and you found a vehicle that you like from a dealership in Texas and it hasn't been exposed to the salt, so that's appealing to you. You can use a website like lemonsquad.com, and they have inspectors all over the United States, and you can pay a fee to them. It's $200 or $300, and they'll inspect the vehicle. They'll give you a report of 150 to 175 data points to inspect the vehicle if in fact you're going to buy that vehicle in that manner in another part of the country and then have it shipped. So that's an idea that might be meaningful for some of you as you think about where you're going to find your vehicle. So make the purchase. You decided to pull the trigger. It takes some time to complete a transaction on a vehicle, and you're not going to walk in and get that done in 15 minutes if you're going to take care of a lot of that transaction in person. Some of that work can be done remotely, back and forth with emails to improve the amount of time you have to deal with the dealership or the individual, but the process can take some time, even hours, even if you are prepared. So again, be clear about your expectations with price. Be ready to provide documentation as you're negotiating with the seller on what you've researched. And of course, you're not going to negotiate only your purchase price, but also you have to understand if you're trading in a vehicle, your existing vehicle, what is that worth? So you really need to have your homework done, not just on what you're considering buying, but also the value of the existing vehicle you have if you're trading that in. So it's important to know both, and know as you walk away, what are you going to have to bring to the table in terms of cash net of the trade-in. So as we continue down the line here of making the purchase, there's other things to think about, optional coverages that are available. So you can buy extended warranties. This can help provide coverage if something happens. It's important, and these are not necessarily standard in the industry. There can be, so you have to understand what exactly does the extended warranty cover, and is there a deductible in that extended warranty? You have to keep in mind, do you personally have the resources to take care of car repairs? Because in a sense, you're buying insurance, and if you can self-insure that risk for a repair, you've got cash reserves, then does it really make sense to buy a warranty if you've got the cash yourself? So that's a consideration. Do you have the money for the car repairs? And if things are tight and you don't, then maybe you're more amenable to extended warranty coverage. There's other packages that are for glass coverage, upholstery, and undercarriage. So these are extra upgrade warranty packages that may or may not be essential. And if it's not essential, just be aware that you're not being upsold on something. If you do want an extended warranty, that you're not being upsold on something that you don't need, like glass coverage, upholstery coverage, undercarriage. So at the end of the day, you've got to decide what's best for you and how much risk you're willing to accept in terms of potential repairs, and make a choice if you want to go there. But it's important to think about those things in advance, because if you haven't thought about it in advance, you're going to be presented with the option at the dealership to consider these. And if you haven't given thought to it ahead of time, you might get pressured into buying something that later you regret and it can be very expensive, thousands of dollars, if you agree to it and then have buyer's remorse on those warranties. So something to keep in mind. We want to make you aware that there are some optional coverages available through the credit union that typically are priced much more effectively than what the dealers are going to offer. Because we're a nonprofit financial cooperative, we have sharp pricing on these products. If you are interested in them, and you'll be offered them at the dealership, but we'd really encourage you to think about using the credit union to buy these products. So there's disability coverage that's available. It's protection that's designed to make your monthly payment on that vehicle should you become totally disabled. And so you're unable to work. Again, this is something the dealerships may offer you, but you're going to find if that's a piece of coverage you're interested in, you're going to have better pricing at the credit union, and wanted to make you aware of that. Same thing with life products. It's designed to pay off an outstanding loan balance in the event that a covered member dies before the loan is paid. So again, the pricing on those products with the credit union are typically much more cost effective than what you'd get at the dealership. Involuntary unemployment is another product available to make your monthly payment in case you become unemployed through no fault of your own. So again, wanted to make you aware that these products are available at the credit union, and if you get pre-approved with us, that's something that you can also inquire about so that you're informed when you go to close the deal. There's another product that's called GAP Plus coverage. So it provides coverage if your vehicle is stolen, if it's accidentally damaged beyond repair, or declared an insured total loss. Your primary auto insurance will cover the replacement value, but you still might have a loan amount that exceeds what the insurance company will give you for the value of that vehicle if it was totaled. And that's because potentially you took out a very long-term loan, a 7-year loan, and the vehicle depreciated faster than what you were making payments to reduce the loan amount, and so it creates this gap. That's why it's called GAP coverage. And so if the vehicle is totaled, if you have purchased GAP Plus insurance, it'll cover that difference between what the insurance company will pay you for a salvage or totaling the vehicle value and what's left on the loan. So it's a product that's available, something for you to consider. So, who should consider this type of coverage, GAP Plus? And it's really someone who's not putting a substantial amount down payment on their vehicle. So if you're 100% financing, or sometimes people roll in a loan balance from a trade-in as well, so you might have more than 100% financing. And in those situations, again, having GAP Plus makes some sense in the event, God forbid, you had an accident and had that vehicle totaled, and the insurance payout wouldn't cover the amount of the total loan left on the vehicle. So that's a product you may not have heard of before, but it's something to keep in mind.
I have a question.
Yes?
Are all of those coverages added on to the loan payment?
Great question. So the question was, are all of those coverages added onto the loan payment? And the answer to that is yes. So you pay that monthly as you go, as opposed to, you don't have to come up with a flat amount to pay up front. So that's added into your loan payment, and you pay that as you go. So yeah. So, how can we assist you? Again, we're here to help you. Thank you for being a member. And we're here even if you just want to pick our brain and talk to one of our loan officers. You may not end up doing the financing with us, but we're happy to talk with you through any of these things. So you can, of course, go to our website. We have information there. You can apply for a loan. There's no cost to applying for a loan with the credit union. And as we talked about before, we can get you pre-approval. Or you're welcome to give our call center a call, and they'll direct you to one of our loan officers if you just want to talk through some ideas or questions you might have. Another thing to keep in mind, because our rates have dropped at the Mayo Credit Union of late, we've got some terrific value interest rates on loans. So you might have a loan you financed in the last few years somewhere else. And so we'd encourage you to check to see if we couldn't save you some money on that. We have this happening every week with people finding, wow, you got some really good rates at the Mayo Credit Union. You're saving us 1%, 2% because I got a loan at the dealership and it was convenient and I kind of forgot about it. And now I realize, wow, I could save a bunch of money. So we have a best rate guarantee that could save you money. We might be able to beat your current rate by 0.25% or more, depending on your current loan terms. So we really encourage you to check us out if we can save you some money. So with that, I'll open it up for questions and also ask my team, did any questions come through the chat box? All is quiet on the chat box. All quiet on the western front. So.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
We purchased a new vehicle a number of years ago.
Uh-huh.
We purchased it at the end of August.
Yes.
When it was all done, the license and the tabs stated July.
Yeah.
And I guess in talking to people, they say, well, that's typical. I said, well, we bought the car at the end of August.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it show August or September?
Yeah.
But they,
I think that varies by state, and there is a cutoff as to when they make that the monthly. Of course, you can have different on your tag, a different month of the year. So the different states play games with that, and then you end up with a stub year instead of a full year of tag expenses, which is very annoying, right?
right.
Yeah. Right. So that is something that is.
Varies by state.
It varies by state, and of course the dealership nor does the credit union have any control on that. You know, it is what it is, and they pretty much tell you this is the way it's going to be, and you got to pay the piper. So, but yeah, is it annoying? Yeah. And that happens, of course, too. You may have paid for a full year of tag expense, and you sell the car, and you still had or traded it in, and you had 4 months to go. Well, you're not going to get a rebate on that. So I think depending on states, if you have a certain number of months, and don't quote me on what it is, but I think in some states, if you have, and again, don't quote me, I'm just throwing out something like half a year or more, they might give you a rebate on some of it. But some of that has also gone away, so just check with your individual state to see if you trade in a vehicle, if you can get a rebate on your tab. In most cases, the answer is probably no, but that's an annoyance. I know what you're.
I know, it's gone up. I just had renewed
Yeah.
license tab
Right.
on the car.
Yeah.
And it's a number of years old now. So
Right.
It's a lower level, but it increased $10 from last year.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I don't know if it's wheelage tax or what.
Yeah.
what kind
Oh, it's a tax for sure.
of tax
It's another tax. Absolutely. Question?
In addition to everything that you said here of the research that should be done, do you have any tips for a single female going into the dealer to purchase a new car?
So the question is, if you're single female and you're going into the dealership, do you have any recommendations? You know, I think, and it doesn't really matter gender-wise, it gets down to comfort. You could be male or female, and some people enjoy the wrangling. Some people are like, I hate it. I don't want anything to do with that. So it becomes a personal preference. I think the more educated one is about the market, helps to provide confidence. And there's, of course, nothing wrong with bringing a buddy along, which is a great idea. So I certainly think that's a terrific idea. So you have two people, listening and hearing, and also pushing back and observing if you're doing a test drive and so on. But so I think a lot of it can be preference. But that's a great question. Yes, ma'am.
I'm leasing a vehicle.
Yes.
And it's up in December.
Okay.
And I hate the looks of the new vehicle.
Okay.
That is my
Yeah,
style.
if you were to stay in the same
Yeah.
brand or
And,
style.
Is it wiser, I'm thinking about buying it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it wiser to go through the leasing bank or the dealership to buy it?
That's a great question, and that can vary very much based on the lease terms and so forth. So, you might like the vehicle, and obviously it gets down to research to know, what is the buyout going to be? Do you like the vehicle? And compare that to what the market is for if you just turn the car back and bought something else. I mean, it's all part of doing the research around what the buyout would be, and compare that to if you bought something used or new or whatnot. So there's a lot of variables to consider.
There's a difference between, I did check online
Yeah.
to find out the payoff amount.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay. And that'll vary month to month, of course, as you get
Yeah,
closer
yeah.
to the end, right?
And at the dealership, what they said they want me to pay them. There's quite a difference.
Yeah.
Is that still something to look into as to why the lease bank is much less than the dealership?
I don't know why. I mean, your contract isn't with the dealership, it's with the financial institution that's carrying the lease. So I don't understand that. Yeah, that's confusing to me. I would push back on that, and you're welcome to give me a call later to, when you get closer to it, if you'd like to kind of think through that. But at the end of the day, you've got a lease contract with the leasing company, and that's who calls the shots on what the buyout's going to be, not the dealership. So
Are there a lot of fees added to that buyout usually?
that I don't know. I think it would again be in the fine print on the contract, and something that would be.
And there's a lot of it.
Yeah, and they can vary very much. And of course, leases can vary based on what the mileage requirements are. And if you have operated that vehicle with more mileage than the lease allows,
A lot under it.
and you're under, okay, well, that's to your advantage. So those are all considerations as well. But yeah, good questions, good.
What percentage of people lease vehicles versus purchase them?
Off the cuff, I don't know off the cuff exactly. It's still mostly cash and regular loan financing. The leasing area has been growing as people just like the simplicity of turning the car back. But there's a way to really look at what the imputed rate is on a lease, and you typically find that it's more expensive than regular bank or credit union financing. But yeah, so there's a lot of tools available to be able to evaluate lease versus buying, and so there are a lot of tools that are available online or through AI, ChatGPT, and others to assist you in that, or just there's certain websites that will do that as well. Yeah, good question. Well, thank you to all of you that attended in person, and those of you that are online. We really appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us today. Hope you have a great week. For those in Minnesota and the upper Midwest, stay cool. It's hot. For those of you in the South, you're already used to some hot weather this time of the year. So I hope you have a good rest of the week, and thanks again for your time, and appreciate you being members, so, yes.
As I said, my lease is due in December.
Yeah,
And I could buy it out right now.
mhm.
Is it best is to wait till the lease becomes closer to the time the lease is up?
Well, we'd have to look at the contract and see if there's a penalty to buy that out earlier,
Oh,
you know, so it depends. Yeah, it always boils down to what the contract says. So, yeah, good question though. Yeah, good. All right, well, thanks all. Have a great day. Appreciate it.